Yay!
But they were all of them deceived. For another show was made. There you go. That's my joke. That's my very, very clever, very, very funny joke that I teed up.
That was better than these shows.
Hey, I think you're being overly harsh to one of them.
I am. So, do you want to talk about The Devil in Ohio?
Yeah, let's do that. Okay. Well, I mean, last week, it feels, it's so funny. It was such a vibrant and brilliant conversation. It feels like it was mere moments ago. But last week...
If it was vibrant and entertaining, I was not there.
Yes, that's very true. We hit a high, and now we're on a gradual descent downwards.
Now everything is sadness.
Okay. The Devil in Ohio. As you quite rightly suggested, let's start with that. It's based on a novel, which I don't know why, and I don't know what it is, and I don't know how. I can always tell when something's based on a novel, and I'd love to be able to pick out, oh, okay, it's because of this, it's because of the structure, it's because of... But I don't know what it is, but somehow I can just always... I would really, really like to have a look into why it is that's a thing that I can pick up. But
Well, normally they put it in the opening credits.
Oh, do they?
No, I don't know if they have for
I
this
didn't
one, but a lot of shows do, like the based on the novels by.
Yeah.
Unless
Oh,
it's
fair
Stephen
enough.
King, in which case you don't need to, because everyone's
No,
like,
yeah.
yes, we know.
Yeah. So, I don't know where to start with this.
Well, we can start at the beginning. Girl escapes cult, runs out into the roads. First guy doesn't stop, dickhead. Second guy stops, takes to the hospital, and then I lost interest.
Was it really that quickly that you disengaged with it? What was it that you didn't like about it?
That I don't. I don't. It wasn't really necessarily that quick, but I think it was quite early on. I was like, okay, you didn't need to waste all the time pretending that you were going to try and find somewhere else for her to go. She's clearly going to the psychologist's house.
The trouble is I think that they're sort of duty bound to do that bit, because then it's like, if she would just straight away went, oh, that's all right, I'll take her home, you'd go, hang on a minute, surely there's some sort of procedure, there's some sort of protocol that means that you can't just nick a girl from hospital.
But would that not be more interesting?
Yeah, maybe.
If she
Maybe,
skirted the system to take her home and like look after her, then it turns out she's in a cult too. But it's just a different cult. And then they go to have a big cult war, and then everybody drinks the Kool-Aid.
Oh dear! Wow. Yeah, I'm. As much as I didn't like this show, I am glad you weren't head writer. Okay.
Well, that's the thing. That would have been the pilot. All my characters would have been dead.
Okay, but what about episode 2? And you went episode 2?
No, this is a 3-hour pilot.
I'll tell you what this does have in it, which is one of my favourite tropes in all drama, in all entertainment, in all storytelling, all of that. I absolutely love this. Is the fact that, well, for one, but for another, it's when a character has to tell another character some quite significant news, but before they can do so, the character they're talking to goes, hey, I'm really happy that all this is going on, and I'm so proud of you for doing such and such a thing, and I'm so pleased it's going so well for you. Sorry, what was it you wanted to tell me? And the thing that they have to tell them is related to the thing that they're proud of them for doing, and it's all gone up the tits, and they just go, oh, nothing. So, yeah, What's Her Chops' main lady's husband is about to sell a house that he's been building, and on the day, the purchaser just completely backs out and says, no, I'm not doing this. Which I'm guessing is like he's been spending the money. He's been spending the money before he got it, is what I sort of read into that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And then, what is her name? Suzanne. She brings home May, who is the girl who has escaped from the definitely not a cult.
It's a cult.
Yeah.
Like 100% it's a cult.
Yeah. She is. Oh, there's also a sheriff who shows up, who is 100% definitely a sheriff.
He's 100% part of the cult.
Yeah, looking for May.
Because he wants to take her back to the cult.
Does he say? He says something like, "Oh, she had some scratches on her back," and that's when you're like, "Okay, it's definitely some sort of symbol." And then you turn, "Okay, it's a pentagram." But
do you see that before she says
no? You
the
don't.
Like, I mean, I don't really get saying grace anyway.
Right, here's my thinking on it, right? I'm not necessarily, and this isn't a religious thing, I'm not necessarily against the idea of when you will sit down, not saying
Waiting
grace,
and saying thank you to
but
the
just
person who's
going,
provided the food.
yeah, this is fucking great, aren't we lucky to have all this? This is going to be a really nice meal. Dig it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But that is not what saying grace is. That it's like disrespecting the person who's cooked you all the food.
Yeah.
Bit like, oh, thanks to God, you're here to cook me food.
It's very much like our friend Daniel Sloss's bit about the medical care that God doesn't have to.
Yeah. My favourite bit is the punchline of that joke is, I think God gave you cancer. Maybe it's because you're such an ungrateful cunt. But yeah, and that the thing is, like, I think that's when I fully disengaged from the whole show. Where she says grace, but twisted.
On, you've got to do the line. You've got to say what she actually says.
I don't remember.
I can help you out here. So she goes, "Oh right, so are we not going to say grace?" And then the family go, "Sure, let's do that." So they're like, sort of, "Oh, this is weird, isn't it?" And she goes, "Yeah, thanks very much to Morningstar, ruler of demons." And then
I knew it was something like that. But that's
that
the
was
thing.
the point. You texted me saying I laughed out loud at that scene. I think I replied saying, "Yeah, so did we."
Yeah, because it's. But that is the moment that my brain just went, nope. Because it's. Anything after that point is unbelievable that she would still be staying in their home. Because that's sort of like a, where did we put the warranty?
I don't know if you can do that with foster children, I'll be completely honest.
She's only been there a day.
Yeah. And she's already she's on the phone to look. She's been there a day. She's spouting about demons and devils and shit. We don't want that, thanks very much.
Yeah. And also, there's a man here from the cult. Because the thing, so I don't.
He's dressed as a policeman and he doesn't look like one.
Because I don't need to watch necessarily any more of this show to know that the rest of the show is, oh shit, the cult wants her back.
Yeah.
That's gonna be what the show is, and it's gonna be, oh, we're gonna have to decide: do we want to protect our own kids, or do we protect the strange devil child that we've brought into the house? And then they're gonna have to make some tough decisions, and all their kids are gonna die. And then they're just gonna be left with, hey, and they're gonna have to learn this prayer.
I think.
And then they drink the Kool-Aid.
I think that is something I wish that this show was. I felt it was kind of weirdly toothless. Like, because clearly there's some horrific stuff, but I just don't believe anyone. Like, this is going to sound very, very strange, but you know, there's a scene where they have breakfast, and it's just the scene from every American drama, film, or TV show where the family have breakfast, and it's like someone cooks eggs. The oldest child says, "I don't want to eat anything. I'll get something at school," and then doesn't eat anything. The kids are mucking about.
The youngest kid's there, like, yeah, I've got this really important thing to do at school, and everyone's just like, don't care, we're grown-ups.
Yeah.
The mum and dad are doing some like weird, like flaccid flirting.
Yeah, but have a lovely day, and it's a big day, and I'm so proud of you. Yeah, bye. It's just.
And the mum's running late as well. Always. Yeah, always running late.
Isn't that mad that that's like. Yeah, but we've never discussed this before, but there we are. We've picked out exactly the same things from that breakfast scene, and I kind of feel like.
I was actually talking about a different show.
But then. That's kind of how I feel this entire show is it's quite cliche. I don't feel invested with any of the characters. There's not a single character I like. I don't even particularly care about may. Obviously, there's part of me that's like, oh, I wonder where this story's going to go. And here's the thing. I love stuff that's about cults because they fascinate me.
No, that's
and
the thing.
Terrifying.
Cults, brilliant.
Well,
maybe brilliant
Fiction.
to read about, but not to join. But like, they're an interesting thing. But the thing that makes a TV series interesting when it's based around cults is the story. You can't just be like, there's a cult, here's someone who escaped from a cult, and make it interesting. Like, I'm sure that it goes in and they build a bit of mythos around this cult, and they're like, oh, it gets darker and darker, and then suddenly they're at the door being like, give us our sacrifice back.
Yeah. Something that
But make it a film.
Well, I don't like.
Maybe.
Generally,
I mean, this maybe not, but
yeah. Generally speaking, like if there is going to be an adaptation from a book, I think the TV show is just the way to go with it. I think we've been proved that it's been proved quite a lot of times that an adaptation of a TV show of a book works much better as a TV show than it does a movie.
all right, a single book to film works quite well. It's a series of books to TV works better, I think.
I mean, I quite like, because the pace that you read a book in. So like a novel, let's say 100,000 word novel, you probably read that in, I'd say, less than 10 hours. But then I think a 10-hour adaptation of a novel is probably warranted. But something like this, what I would find really interesting is if the family members, or at least our main character, perhaps starts actually getting quite seduced by the cult. So it just shows, like, yes, they're this sort of, because at the minute they're this sort of faceless entity. We don't really know a lot about them, so they feel other and not necessarily that dangerous. If they're shown to actually be quite seductive in the way that cults have proven themselves to be, particularly when there's like a charismatic leader like your Mr. Kool-Aid, Jim Jones, then
I think the way, like, the out of a cult bit is less interesting than the into the cult bit.
I think you might be right on that one, actually. There's not many stories where you follow someone getting swallowed into a cult, do you? Like, there's a lot of escaping from, this is what it was like when I was in the cult, that sort of thing. So that would probably be more interesting for me. The trouble is as soon as she says rule of demons, that's never going to happen, because everyone's just going to be like, well, that's fucking ridiculous. So
I don't know. This Jesus guy seems to have done pretty well. But no, I think it might just be something. It just feels sort of a bit stale. Like, it's not. It might be harsh. I might be wrong, but it feels like it's not adding anything to tropes. Like, they're doing the, I've got away, and everyone's just pat her on the back, gently, obviously, big pentagram, and just sort of being like, oh, well done. But it's not. Maybe it's just where my interest in cult lies. Like, it's not.
I'll tell you exactly what this made me think is, I'd fucking love to read the book. Like, I think the book's probably a lot better than this show. And I've just done a quick bit of research on the author. She has previously worked on Castle Rock and Jack Ryan. So that's quite interesting.
That is. So apparently I read a semi-lengthy article about it, and it's a lot of people just being like, man, cults are interesting. But there's about a paragraph about the TV show, and it's just like, it's a TV show based on a book. And they're like, yep.
Yeah, I would quite like to read the book, actually, I think. Oh, it says inspired by true events.
Classic. Well, I think it's I think from what I've read in this same article, it's, I met someone who's in a cult, and they said they escaped and it happened in Ohio, and I just went from there. Which is fair. But
yeah. I think it's a shame, because I've had an eye on this on Netflix for a long time, and I thought, that looks like a bit of me, because it's kind
that's
of
the thing, that I added it just for you.
And bless you, culty and slightly gothic, maybe not quite as much as as the other show we're going to be talking about.
I thought it might have been a more period drama than it was as well.
Yes, I think that might be because of the thumbnail, because it's quite an old church. I was thinking, oh, this might be a sort of 1800s sort of thing, which that could be
like
quite
sort of
interesting.
pre-civil, no, maybe post-Civil War.
That would be, but like Salem witch trials-y sort of time.
Yeah.
Actually, when was it? I've said that absolutely spuriously.
1860s, I think.
Salem witch trials. Oh, very close. 1878. Oh, hang on. Colonial Massachusetts between February 1692 and May 1693. So actually, yeah.
Yeah, but that's sort of
crazy.
Yeah, we know that 20, 30 years doesn't make actually back then it might have made a huge amount of difference as to how the world would look. But
for a really good film on that, I recommend you watch Robert Eggs's The Witch, because that is fucking incredible, and it's all about there's a family who witchcraft is then accused on them. It's fucking brilliant. It's absolutely incredible, that film. Should we go on to The Deceived?
yes, after we were lied to in the last show, it makes sense.
Yes. Lots of people telling lies in this one.
Yeah.
Right. I struggled with this one as well. Probably less so.
Because this is more of a, I get it, slightly more interesting, but also not really.
Yeah, like, it was just kind of one of those things where I was like, meh, this is just
Student
fine.
loves teacher and gets a bit creepy, and he turns out to also be a bit creepy.
Yes.
But Ireland.
Oh, and God knows, do we like a bit of Ireland?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think you've pretty much nailed it, to be fair. Yeah, student starts shagging her teacher. Teacher's wife dies. This is something I need to ask you. Have you seen or any adaptation of or read the Daphne du Maurier story, Rebecca?
No.
It's basically the same as this. It's exactly the same as this. In fact, there's a very famous scene in Rebecca, which Alfred Hitchcock did an adaptation of it, and Ben Wheatley did an adaptation of it about the same time the show came out, actually, 2020. There's a scene where there is a character who wears the clothes of their partner's deceased partner and comes downstairs, and it is not received well. And that scene is wholesale lifted from Rebecca in this show. But I think that's probably quite a good indicator of tone for this sort of thing, because there's a character whose partner, long-term partner, apparently, has died, but then he's sort of taken up with this student and moved on very, very quickly. But also, it's very clear that she's not the only student he's been seeing.
Yeah, and it also seems like maybe his wife didn't just die.
Yeah.
Because there was a fire.
Maybe there was foul play.
I mean, I strongly suspect... I'd be disappointed if there wasn't, but also kind of impressed if they managed to stick out, like, for the whole series. I reckon maybe he probably did, and then just go, no, genuinely, there was just a fire. She just died.
It's not exactly satisfying storytelling, that, though, is it? It's like, it's just coincidental.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, I would find that more interesting than being like, from the get-go, being like, I reckon he killed his wife, and then being like, yes. Our character Ophelia, she travels across the pond to Ireland. In a very, like, proper stalker way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like, this... and this is something I struggle with this as well, is I didn't like any characters, apart from Paul Mescal's character, Sean, the firefighter. I like him, but that's just because I like Paul Mescal. But there's not many redeeming qualities to a lot of these characters. So something that I did find interesting is when Ophelia meets See, it's not Roisin, is it? She doesn't meet the wife in the bathroom. It's somebody else who I thought was Roisin, which, again, that's another Daphne du Maurier thing of, like, these misidentifying characters. But she says something, and the way that they're talking, it's as if that character knows that there is an affair going on, but doesn't do anything about it. Is that Roisin? Or have I got that confused? Do you know the scene I mean, where they're at the party and she goes into the bathroom?
Yeah, but it's like another student, isn't it?
Is she another student? Because I thought she was...
I know, I didn't.
fair bit
I guess
older.
it didn't make it that clear, but
Yeah, I think that might have been the point of that, but...
well, I think that the point is to imply that, like, it's... I think with that bit, I think it was to imply that it's not the first time he's done it, rather than that they know they're going at it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That it's to sort of point out that it's a pattern for him to sleep with the students, rather than for them to be like, Ophelia, you are banging your teacher.
There is one thread of this story that does keep me intrigued, and that's because it's lifted again. This borrows from a lot of different stuff, this show. But there is a set piece that is borrowed from Edgar Allan Poe, The Telltale Heart. Like, it's the fact that when Ophelia is staying in the house, she can hear, like, this knocking on the door, and she eventually resolves to go and find out what it is because it's in a locked room. So she goes and finds the key, opens the room, discovers that what she thought was someone knocking on the door is apparently a branch that is rhythmically tapping against the window. So she snaps the branch and then goes back to bed. She then can still hear the knocking on this door, and that's kind of, it's similar to The Telltale Heart, which is when there's a character who bricks up another character while they're still alive, but the guilt consumes him so much that he can still hear the heartbeat, like wherever he is in his house, which is kind of similar to the knock on the door. So that's the one thing that I'm like, I would like to know what that is. The rest of it, I couldn't give a shit.
Yeah. Well, I think... What about... Have a little punt at what you think might happen, and I'll read the synopsis and tell you if you're right.
Well, I think he is absolutely having an affair with more than one person. I feel like the firefighter is in league with Michael. I feel like Sean absolutely knows something and is kind of maybe helping.
I am reading
Michael
very small
get away with
synopses,
it.
and none of them mention Sean.
Oh, okay. Perhaps it's not then. And then the fire. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. That's
The thing, now I've read the
I'm not gonna
synopsis, I'm
watch
actually
it.
more interested in watching the rest of the show.
See, that's crazy. Like, I don't know if I'd like, because there is the inference at the end of episode 1. She does say, like, oh, my mother told me not to believe in ghosts, or something like that. So there is an inference that it could go down the supernatural route, but I don't think that's been seeded enough to be satisfying. But
Yeah. The thing... So now I've read what happens.
maybe she becomes like a prisoner in the house. But go on.
Do you want to know what happens and how it ends?
Yeah, I don't care. It's
Yeah.
fine.
So his wife's not dead,
Yeah, that's not surprising.
but there's a
I did
body.
say
There was a body in the fire.
I did say to Lisa, I was like, we haven't seen that it's her that's dead. So, sorry.
Yeah. What I'm not entirely clear on is, so there's a lady called
The
Annabelle.
other student.
Annabelle, who's in the fire. I don't know who Annabelle is.
I think it might be the other student that we see him arguing with at the start of episode 1.
Makes sense. But so her body was in the fire, and then, so Roisin killed Annabelle.
That makes sense. If it's who I think it is.
Yeah, Mary, who is
The
someone
pub
pub
the pub
lady.
owner. Yeah.
Ophelia and Roisin tell the police that Michael killed Annabelle.
Oh no, Mary is his mother-in-law. Sorry.
Yeah, so I think basically, it's a long story short, he gets framed for murder. But also killed. He dies at the end.
Oh, never mind. Cool. And now we know.
I'm sort of a little bit interested to see how it gets to that point, but at the same time, like, it's fair enough. Not as interesting as it could be, but it's only 4 episodes.
We should ruin more TV shows.
But that's the thing, I'm only willing to ruin ones that I'm not going to watch.
He dies at the end of cancer, having made all the meth in the world.
Yeah, but by this point, all the people who want to watch Breaking Bad have seen it.
No, that was The Simpsons.
There's an end to The Simpsons?
No, it's still going. What other shows? It Was All a Dream. It Was Purgatory. What other shows?
It sounds more like you're ruining films than TV shows.
No. I'm heavily staying on a TV show. They all die apart from 2 of them who get away in a boat.
Jesus Christ! I've just realised which one you just ruined.
They do serve all the food on time. Yeah, like it's a bit of a weird one this week because like
they're on paper should be good, but
I think
bad.
that's the link. That's the link for this week is shows that I think should be better.
No, the shows that I put on the list for you.
Yeah, never mind. You tried.
Your
It's
taste is
fine.
dreadful. It happens though. At least we got 2 duds together and not one that shits all over the other.
Yeah. What are we doing next week?
Similar vein.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dud season, I think.
Yeah. That's all right. It will pick up again. I'm sure it will. Curb Your Enthusiasm and Lead Balloon, which is apparently
How it goes down next week.
Yeah. This is supposed to be a remake of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
They're meant to be like they're the same but different, and there's no link officially on the Wikipedia, so I can't call it UK versus US, but it basically is.
Yeah.
Like, they're 2 separate comedians had the same fucking idea.
There you go. That's what we'll go with.
That's what the episode's called. 2 comedians had the same fucking idea.